This is how I do plaster rock carving to get a realistic effect. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to MapleLeaf Customs in Austria. I'm Andrew. On the bench today, and I mean the whole bench, is a DIY Fury Road Scorched Earth Diorama 2.0. It's going to be a big one. In this video, I'll show you how I do plaster rock carving, which is the technique I'm using for this, among many options that there are to develop a diorama with cliffs and a hillside. I started with a wooden picture frame that I got from the thrift store. It was brand new and still in plastic, but at a reduced thrift store price. So that was a good start. And you can see I've taped off the edges, and I'm just starting to put some styrofoam in there as my ground level and background hills. This is the kind that's very porous and crumbly when you cut it, but it doesn't matter. None of this is going to show in the end result. It's just filler for what's going to go on top of it. I actually do much of the preliminary work that you're seeing here while on vacation in my wife's home country of Austria, but my father-in-law has an incredible array of tools, so I'm not lacking for anything. I'm building up a little bit of height by staggering pieces in the background, rounding the front edges only. Again, this is just rough work that doesn't show in the end. I'll do the plaster rock carving on those background hills, but the main functional area of the diorama is the flat part out front, which will house all of my Fury Road vehicles. I'll speed it up a bit while I finish doing this messy cutting and a little bit of vacuuming to clean up the diorama and myself. This packaging is all in German, but it's basic plaster that I can make as watery or as thick as I want. Stage 2 is taking some kitchen paper towels, soaking them in some fairly runny plaster mix, and laying that down over top of the bare styrofoam. All of it. This will make it easier to receive the next layer of plaster. And I brush on a little bit of thin stuff to make sure it's all covered. Here you see I just make a little bit at a time. That's the size of the mixing bowl that I use. Fill it up about halfway with water. Moisten the styrofoam first. Just helps a little bit. And pretty soon the hills are covered and all the flat surface area as well, and it looks like this from a bird's eye perspective. Coming soon on MapleLeaf Customs, you'll see the next Four Horsemen Invitational on the theme of outer space, another of my summer road trip series. This is a sim racer theme. There's a post-apocalyptic bus coming up, and the final summer road trip with Mike Espo building a 4-door gasser. Be sure to come back for each of those. Now I'm getting to the more interesting part of the project, and that's making a stiffer mix of plaster that I just put on with a spatula on top of the rough carved styrofoam. I can only do a small section at a time. You'll see here it still wants to run and sag a little bit, but in less than a minute it stiffens up enough that I can start to shape it and move it and mold it, and then the carving will follow that. I don't have any design in mind. I'm just going with what I thought Mother Nature might do with some rocks. Now you can see it's starting to harden, but still pliable enough that I can put some features in with my spatula. I've got about another half a minute before I won't be able to do this anymore. Finally, I've got an X-Acto knife out because I can start to shave and cut, and it's not moving the plaster around anymore. I'm using old dollar store paintbrushes to sweep away any of the refuse. And a little closer look at how it's starting to take shape. Small sections at a time, remember. I guess I'm a little beyond the halfway mark, and it's time to mix up another bowl. I'm guessing I had to do that 12 or 15 times. Just add more plaster or more water to get the right consistency. Now I'm going the faster route of just pouring this on in globs, saving myself a matter of seconds. I'll still use the spatula to push this into place and build up my hills. I've got a variety of tools here laid out. They all serve a little bit of a different purpose to help me to get these formations just the way that I want. Taking regular breaks, we usually go on a walk around a local lake, and here are some close-up shots of Austrian rocks and the surface texture that they've got. This is the very end section that I've got to complete now. You've been watching about 3 days work on and off. No more than 6 or 8 hours. I'm taking a guess at that. The end that I started at is pretty well dried up, and this will take a couple of days to reach the same point. I wrapped my work up in clear plastic and happy to say it got back to Switzerland in one piece. The reason that I call this the Scorched Earth Diorama 2.0 is because I did this version 1.0 a couple of years ago in a size that I thought would do me for a long time, but it didn't. I've done so many of the Fury Road movie franchise vehicles that I quickly ran out of room. Hoping to solve that with this project, you can see it's on a much larger scale. While the original Fury Road trilogy starring Mel Gibson was filmed in Australia, for 2015's Mad Max Fury Road, the production relocated to the sparse and arid environment of Namibia. I'm going for the reddish hills of that location, so I've mixed up some browns and oranges, made it very watery, and here I'm just applying it liberally over my whole creation. There were going to be many more paint applications on top of this, so this is not the final color rendition. Of course, in any natural cliff environment, there's going to be a collection of loose rocks that have fallen down the cliffs and accumulated at the bottom. I achieved this look by using some basic white glue and rounded pebbles that I got at the craft store in different sizes and colors. And then white glue goes back on top of those to hold them in place, and don't worry because that dries clear. You won't notice the glue in the very end. I hope my techniques might be helping you out if you're considering a diorama on a small or large scale. Surprisingly, for being about 4 feet by 3 feet in size, this whole thing is not all that heavy. Couple of carefully placed final pebbles to fill in any gaps that might be there. That's the completion of another stage. So that my rock cliffs are not one uniform color, I'm applying a little bit of a lighter ochre in various spots from one end to the other, because in nature there's not just one static color. This is an important stage. Very thin black wash that goes over everything. The purpose of this is that it will find all of the cracks and crevices as you see here and bring those out much more prominently. More Google Images research reveals lots of desert junk. So I go to my 3D printer and I make a couple of different piles. And a scary dead tree that looks like this. I give that a quick paint job, just dark. Some important add-ons to my diorama. A little bit of scrub brush popping up in between oil drums and tires. The final detail is to apply some highlights to the edges using just a little bit of white. This is where the sun would pick up these spots in real life. There's Monument Valley, same kind of look. I'm all finished. Let's have a closer look. As I zoom in and out, you can see all of the details that were achieved during the plaster carving stage. Added some 3D printed desert junk, old rebar. You see my fallen rocks. And at the very bottom are the smallest pebbles. Now I've placed some of my already completed Fury Road vehicles on there. The War Rig, the Giga Horse, the Mack tow truck. There's Elvis, Max's Interceptor, the Dufwagon leading the convoy, and a couple of scout cars up in the hills. I wonder how long it'll take to fill this one up. Thanks for watching this video today. I hope you'll come back soon and often. It's coffee time.